President Biden's former press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, announced that she's writing a new book called Independent, a look inside a broken White House, outside party lines. And she shared why she says she's leaving the Democratic Party. Take a look.
I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan. If you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your how you identify politically, and as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you. I will move forward with you.
So do you agree thinking outside party lines might be our best bet, or will it just, revert to what it always has been?
Well, I think it's a more honest political take. I feel like maybe I'm biased as an independent that everyone should be independent, but it's the largest group of voters we have are independents, and I think it's because our system is so simplistic by having two parties and assuming anyone fits in those boxes at all. But I also realize some people push back and they say, oh, but you can't vote in the primaries. Right now in this country, in 35 states, they're either open or semi-open, which suits the independent voter. And I think it's time for politicians to sell themselves completely to someone consuming what they have to offer and not worrying about jersey-wearing partisan politics and tribalism. I think it works.
But so she calls herself an independent. That means that she'll vote for a Republican? I doubt it.
No, but you're also simplifying that. Usually an independent leans one way. I have voted left for 25 years, but I don't identify as a Democrat because the Democrats don't stand for what I stand for
but you keep voting for them.
I wait to see the candidates. And if the Republicans ever put up a candidate that I was like, that's my person, in a heartbeat I would vote for them.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me, given what the Republican Party used to be. This is the Trump Party. This is very different This is very different to me in my view. And so when you're talking about the stats, if you look at it, Gallup says independents, 46% who identify as independents lean Republican. 45% that identify as Democrats lean Democrat. They vote Democrat every single time, and those that lean Republican vote that way every single time. I had a personal experience with my dad. He had been an independent for 40 years. And I said to him, have you ever voted for Republican? He said, no. I said, so then you're a Democrat.
Yeah,
and so
no.
but you're precluding yourself in the state that he was living in from choosing a candidate in the primaries. And so he switched and now he's a Democrat. So I just don't think with the Trumplican Party, the way that it is, it makes this argument just doesn't make sense.
That's a narrow view, though. I've been an independent for 20 years
But the
now.
Republican Party doesn't exist the way.
But my point here is
before.
that they're blind loyalty. The second I sat here at this desk and said I felt President Biden should step down, the hate I got was not from the right, it was from the left. To me, the reason I'm an independent is to say I call him like I see him, and I hope you do too, because that's the way the system should work.
We are also one of the few nations on earth that has a two-party system, and I think that we should take some cues. Like most of Europe, you have many, many parties. And as somebody who, there are definitely days that I'm like, am I still a Republican? Watching decisions Trump's doing on anything from tariffs to foreign policy. And then I look at the Democrats, I say, I'm definitely not a Democrat right now. And I think that the majority, it speaks to it that the largest voting bloc is independents, that people feel completely underrepresented by the two-party system. Then you add to that the way that the parties try to rig things in their favor. So the Democrats put their finger on the scale in 2020 to try to keep Bernie Sanders from advancing so that Joe Biden would be the person who would win. The calculation was Biden had a better chance of winning a general election. I happen to agree with that, but the voters were moving toward Bernie Sanders, not toward Joe Biden.
Though.
The Republicans did the exact same thing for Donald Trump. We rigged the system in his favor in this last primary. So a Nikki Haley, a Will Hurd, a Ron DeSantis, no one else had a chance because we changed the primary dates to benefit him. That's not democracy. That's partisan politics. Like, I know more people who feel underrepresented by the two parties than I do that are like, oh, I love the two-party system.
Well,
no one's ever happy with the two-party system. As long as I've been
well,
on
let's
this
shake
track,
it up then.
Everybody's, we have Bill Clinton on today. Let's ask him about it.
He's the last Democrat I really liked.
What?
He's the last Democrat I really liked.
He was the last Democrat
No,
you
I'm just
liked?
kidding. I
Obama was the last Democrat.
Well, he was the last.
I identified more with.
Yeah.
Well, I like Obama as a person. I agreed with Clinton more.
Whoopi, you've always you've been an independent for a while.
Well, there's no name for what I am.
Okay. Okay.
There's no name, because there are some things that fit what I want and some things that don't. And I'm the crazy person who said, why don't we have a Democratic president and a Republican
yep.
vice
Yeah,
president?
you've said that for
I
a while.
believe that the only way to get stuff done is to have both parties represented
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And people keep telling me I'm crazy, but I don't think I am. But both parties have issues, and for me, there's no loyalty in the Democratic Party, and there's absolute pig-headed loyalty in the Republican Party, and
Yeah.
neither thing works for me.
Well, Lincoln. There's a great book called A Team of Rivals.
Yeah.
A great book called
Great
A Team
book.
of Rivals by Doris Kearns.
Doris Kearns
Doris
Goodman.
Kearns.
And what was unique about his administration is that he surrounded himself with people that didn't think the way that he did. People from the other
challenged
party,
him.
and I think that is very important. I think President Obama did some of that as well.
Yeah, but
so that makes sense.
I think if people would feel like they were being heard if someone was talking to them.
Yeah.
You know, and there are a lot of, listen, the Republican Party used to stand for a whole bunch of stuff. Not all things I liked, at all. But they had a point of view that I didn't have to question. I question the Republican Party now, and I question the Democratic Party now. You have someone like Wes Moore, who is a perfect
love Wes
candidate.
Moore.
You know,
Oh my gosh,
and
please.
people are saying, well, he, you can't elect a black man. Why
Oh,
not?
Hell yeah,
Well, we did it
We
twice.
did it.
Well, I'm
We
just,
will again.
but I'm saying,
And
know,
I know what you mean.
and what I like about Westmore, for example, he thinks outside of the box. He took on this issue of just what's plaguing young men and is like, I'm going to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
one of the biggest issues I care about is the rise of AI and how it's going to impact everyone, and we're
Yes.
totally unprepared. And no one's talking about it and trying to come up with a solution.
us.
Like, I want politicians to think outside of the box, not just those things that every 4 years we
and
talk
get
about.
rid of the fear. You should not be afraid of not getting your job back. If the
Yes.
people
Yes,
don't
that's
feel
true.
like you're not doing your job, then you better do a damn better job or get out.
Yeah.
But this is on us. We allow this stuff to go on. This is on us. If we want change to happen, we're going to have to make it happen because you're going to have to get out and vote. There's no way around it. There's no way around it.